Well, Cougar Nation, welcome into a special edition regular season finale as Mitch Harper and myself, Matt Baiamonte, we're sitting about courtside at the Marriott Center. There's a long lingering of seniors. Trevenell's taking a lot of pictures, and BYU wins their 8th straight win to finish off this regular season. Just a remarkable turnaround, Mitch. And this was a meaningful game, not only to win the rivalry, that's meaningful, and we can get to this later, but Trey Stewart post-game said that this game meant a lot. He's got a lot of friends at Utah, but he hates them. And more importantly than that, I'd say getting the 4th seed in the Big 12 tournament, just from a rest perspective, because there were some scary plays in this game where I'm like, Richie Saunders rolls an ankle.
Rob Ramos is checking him out on the bench.
Yeah, Trey Stewart got banged up. I'm like, you can't be missing these guys. So I guess let's just start here, Mitch. Your thoughts on this win and kind of what it meant for the program.
Yeah, BYU puts up 85 points on a night where you felt like the offense was just kind of average. And I thought, man, that just shows how this team can just win in a variety of ways. And, 85-74 is the final score. I thought that the first half, on Cougar Sports Saturday on KSL News Radio, we were, I don't want to say confident, because we're not part of the team. But at the end of the day, we're watching this BYU basketball game every night, or BYU basketball team every night. And it's and you see Utah, who was struggling, there really just was no matchup. You knew BYU was going to win this game. It was just kind of a matter of how much they're going to win by. But then you see him go 0 for 13 from 3, and you're going, oh, my goodness, what is happening here with this BYU team? And I kind of let my mind wander. Was it a case of, delayed travel with Iowa?
No.
Is there a little bit of funk? No, I think it was just kind of a filling out process.
Yes.
A little bit of tense nerves with the senior day and whatnot. And BYU settled in. And I think also what shines to me in a game like this is that BYU's kind of got a wide margin for error. Much wider than most BYU teams when you play power conference opponents. They just navigated a 20-game Big 12 schedule and went 14-6. And they closed out the Big 12 schedule on an 8-game win streak, one of the longest win streaks in college basketball right now. This team just continuously finds ways to win, and I think that's pretty fun when you watch this team night in and night out.
Let me throw a stat your way that I found very impressive and very encouraging for the NCAA tournament, because quite frankly, I don't give a rip about the Big 12 tournament next week. Don't care. I almost prefer they lose their early game on Thursday and get out of there, hopefully scot-free. But BYU had only won, prior to tonight, 1 game all year when they were out-rebounded. And they were soundly out-rebounded tonight by Utah. And I thought Utah did a great job on the glass, and they really gave BYU some problems. What were the final numbers? It was 53 to 34, so plus 19. And BYU gets the win. And a comfortable win.
Yep.
It was never really in doubt in the second half, because BYU, Mitch, by the 17-minute mark, they were up double digits, and they never looked back. And they got blasted on the glass. And in previous games this season, when they were out-rebounded by 15 or more, they lose that game. And they shoot poorly. They're well below their season average from 3. They get blasted on the glass, and the game didn't ever feel threatened in the second half. That, to your point, on the wide margin, that's remarkable. To get killed on the glass, and then on the flip side, they get killed on the glass, but then they dominate the paint. So it's this team, man. They can beat you. I don't want to say any way they want, but it feels like, gosh, if they want to drive to the basket every single play, they can do it. If they want to rip it from 3, they can do that too.
Kevin Young talked about it a couple weeks ago, saying this is a pick your poison team. And I think it's so perfect, because the way that this rotation has evolved and how much depth that they have, again, you don't even have Cannon Catchings. He again was sidelined in sweats. He's day-to-day. It just shows the versatility of this team. You go 5 guys scoring double figures on Saturday night: Keba Keita, Yegor Demon, Richie Saunders, Mihailo Boscovich, Dawson Baker. I mean, again, Baker hasn't had a game like that feels like a couple weeks.
Yeah.
And it just then out of nowhere.
I couldn't tell you the last time.
15 points. He has a big night. I just think it was a really strong showing for BYU. And I thought also what was big for the Cougars was that Dallin Hall 3 at the end of the first half. they were building momentum at the end of that first half, and then
that was a
Gallen
huge
really
shot.
It put it over.
That was
the
a
top.
backbreaker because it was a broken play. Boscovich almost turns it over, dumps it out to Hall, who's barely in front of the Y, and buries a three. And Utah outplayed BYU in the first half.
Yep.
And then to be down 4 when they were that bad from 3, that had to have been a gut punch.
It had to be. And I thought Josh Eilert, the interim head coach for Utah, all things considered, in a tough situation where the program already knows who the next head coach is. He's already been hired in Alex Jensen. It's an awkward dynamic for him, but I thought he had his guys pretty ready, all things considered. But BYU is just a machine right now, and it's a lot of fun to see how this team is clicking. And, we got to highlight Richie Saunders, too. In the first half, only 3 points. But the guy comes on strong again, and he had a quiet night by Richie Saunders standards.
Yep.
14 points, 5 of 10 from the field. I love what Richie Saunders brings
Say
every
that again?
single night.
14, and he's 50% from the field, and that's a bad night.
5 rebounds. He does it all. 2 assists, 1 turnover. Richie Saunders is just a really special player for BYU, and I think it's also fun too, from an observation standpoint, kind of being in the atmosphere at the Marriott Center, the loud cheers he gets now in the starting lineups and being announced.
He's a fan favorite.
In the beginning of the year,
he always has been, but
in the beginning of the year, it was Jaegor getting the loudest cheers, and then it evolved. The fans have understood that this is their number one guy, and it's pretty fun to see.
I thought it was really noteworthy post-game when Kevin Young talked about Richie and said how important it was that when they made those halftime adjustments, that Richie just got to the rim. And he had 2 quick layups and was getting downhill. And I just feel like this is a really unique and special team in terms of culture, trust between the coaches and the players. These coaches are legit. Kevin Young is quickly ascending in the college basketball ranks. It's truly remarkable what he's done in 1 year. And for this team to buy into the scheme, into the adjustments, into the roles, you heard it from Dawson and Trey post-game. We know what our roles are. We know what we're asked to do. Our minutes may fluctuate, but we're all bought in. That's really impressive, even more so in today's landscape of college sports where unlimited transfers, getting paid, gimme, yeah. I need. And this first-year head coach has this team bought in. That really stuck out to me that they made adjustments at halftime, and they did this against West Virginia last Saturday. And the team buys in, they execute the plan, and they have immediate success. You don't see this every year. It's pretty remarkable.
To add to your point on Trey Stewart in the postgame, he spoke about those second half adjustments with the coaching staff, and he just spoke glowingly of the coaching staff. He said they had so much experience. They find these ways to make adjustments.
What you like that tidbit on Burge too from KY?
I thought it was a great tidbit. I mean, this team is just really impressive, and this coaching staff I think is settled in. They understand college basketball, and I think they got a feel for how these games are going to be officiated night in, night out. The officiating, we got to bring that up. I thought it was abysmal. It was terrible. The amount of fouls that were called, you got, what was it? 47 fouls called in a 40-minute game. Could we please get Tony Padilla back? I'm kidding. Tony, we love you. But I was like, my goodness, this is so brutal to watch. And that was the thing about this game, too, was that BYU was comfortably in the lead, but it maybe didn't have the building in a fever pitch because
so many
fouls, the stoppages, the timeouts. You'd have Utah calls a timeout with 8:15, and then the media timeout at the under 8. It was just there was a weird flow to the game, but BYU navigated that and did a great job, and they get the win. And it's kind of cool. We're sitting here courtside at the Marriott Center, and a guy like Mawit Mag, who his senior night at BYU probably never in his wildest dreams thought he'd be in Provo having senior night. But, Mawit Mag has done nice things for BYU. He ends up with 9 points, took care of business from the foul line, 6 for 6. It kind of a quiet night, more kind of what you expect from Mawit Mag. But he provides valuable contributions to this team. And once again, another win in the column for BYU since, he got inserted in that starting lineup back on January 14th. This BYU team's been darn near unbeatable since he's been in the starting 5.
And I think Kevin Young noted that it was halftime at UCF that he thought it was the turning point. But I really do think it was the Moet Mag change.
Yes.
That I believe was the turning point, because I think that's when Kevin Young realized I have to lean in on the experience. That doesn't mean Yegor can't have a starring role.
Yeah.
That doesn't mean Cannon Catchings can't have a role. But we can't put all of our chips into the talented freshmen. And there was a recalibration of experience and finding spots for Foose and giving more minutes to Dallin. And I think that's really when you started to see this team take off. And now, really, my wife asked me this today, and I said, hey, just so you know, if BYU goes to the Sweet 16, like, I'm going to that. She's like, they're not going. You really think they're going? And I'm like, kinda, yeah.
I think they could, yeah.
I kind of do.
Yeah.
Because they're winning in so many different ways. They have so many different guys they can throw out there. Like today, Dawson Baker, to me, like in a future Cougar Sports Saturday segment, Dawson Baker could be in that. Like, who was a guy that catapulted BYU to a season finale rivalry win? Like, it was Dawson Baker. The offense was struggling, and he comes in and gives you 9 points in the first half, finishes with a team high 15, and he hadn't done a whole lot in the last couple of weeks up to this. The fact that you have that ability to say, this isn't working with this group, Trevin doesn't have the shot falling, let's see what we got with Dawson, boom, that hits. That is invaluable in a tournament setting, because Kevin Young's shown that if someone doesn't have it in that matchup, in that moment, we can try 3, 4, 5 different combinations until something works, and that happened tonight.
And you kind of wonder, too, and this is big picture line of thinking, the way that the rotation is played out, the old school thought is always, 7 to 8 guys, that's you tighten it up. But you kind of wonder in the transfer portal era, Matt, if that should be what Kevin Young's doing with 10 to 11 guys, if that's what you should do. Because when you go down this box score and you look at all the names, okay, you lose Mag, you lose Trevin Nell, you lose Foose, who's a beloved guy. You got to love Foose.
Yep.
Gentle Giant. Trey Stewart, you lose him. But if all these other guys on the box score, they've all contributed meaningful minutes for BYU in various points of this season. Why would you leave? Why would you go into the portal and leave this with the number one recruit coming next year? I just think it's kind of an interesting dynamic how this has played out for BYU, because I think, when we talk about Dawson Baker, he's got a year left, and all the pieces again, and all these guys have gotten better from where they were a year ago, and now they go into the postseason with those guys that are returning with experience in the postseason. They've got that in their back pocket, and I think they can only just grow. And I think there's just a lot of excitement for BYU, and it's valid. And I think still what's exciting too is that they're still kind of flying under the radar a little bit, and there's not really the weight of the world is on them. It's not like, oh, you've got to deliver. Like, yes, get the first round win, please. You got to get the round of 64.
Yep.
But everything else, it's like, just go play BYU basketball. And what was it? Rebound control, turnover control. Those are the two keys. And if BYU does that, Kevin Young believes they can beat anyone in college basketball.
And yet they didn't control the rebounds today, and they had a comfortable win. That's the thing that to me is so impressive, is they got blasted on the glass. And this was not a wire-to-wire game. So there's a lot to like about BYU. The wild card, as we've talked about a lot, and we'll talk about for the next couple of weeks, is the matchups, the seeding. Do you get a favorable draw or not? That plays a role. But even if they don't, this does feel like a team that even if they get a matchup where you say, like, let's just take, I think it was Rocco Miller's bracket from bracketeer.org earlier today. It'll change before Selection Sunday, but he had BYU as a 7 and a potential second-round matchup against Alabama.
Yeah.
In previous years, you'd say, because Alabama won today against Auburn, right? On the road, I think,
on the buzzer.
Yeah. I think in previous teams, you'd say, you're not going to take down a 2-seed Alabama. I don't see why BYU couldn't.
Look what they did against Arizona. It'd be the same type of game. 98-96. BYU loves a high-tempo game with tons of possessions. Sign Kevin Young up for that.
Yeah, so
Nate Oates versus Kevin Young, inject that into my veins. It'd be high-level basketball.
Absolutely. And I'm not willing to say BYU would necessarily win that game, but I don't.
They'd be a heavy underdog.
Yeah, but I wouldn't go into that game feeling like there's no path to victory here.
I think it's a great point, and I think that BYU basketball is on the rise, and I think it was also key that Kevin Young understands the assignment when it comes to the rivalry and what it means, and he's like, I want to be the top dog in the state, and I think it's a nice tone setter.
King of the hill, as he said.
That's what it was. Going into now, it's going to be a new era of Utah and BYU. Alex Jensen's the head coach. I think it's going to be fierce battles. I think it's going to be competitive because Utah's always a little bit of the thorn in BYU's side, and BYU is going to be a thorn in Utah's side, particularly in Provo. So I think the battles are going to be awesome between KY and Alex Jensen. So it's good times, though, for the Cougs. And, and I think what also needs to be acknowledged, too, is BYU, when you kind of size it up since 2006, they've really got a stranglehold on this rivalry when it comes to the win-loss record. And BYU continues to expand on that. But 8-game win streak for the Cougars. Next up, they go to Kansas City, and they'll take on either Iowa State, Cincinnati,
in a meaningless tournament
or Oklahoma
that KY
State
compared to the play-in tournament
Yep.
in the NBA.
It was a good poll. It was a great poll. I love Kevin Young's comparisons to the NBA. He's like, I know you guys don't care about it. I'm like, please, I love these NBA comps. I live for this, KY. Please, give me those. So, great stuff. Good stuff this year, Matt. Sixth season, us covering BYU basketball here at the Marriott Center. I remember you and I did one of these up on, I think it was like Portal Y up there. We had my roadcaster. It was during COVID. No one was in this building, and it was during COVID. We thought, are we ever going to see a BYU fan in this building again? And, of course, we did. It was a blowout tonight. It was a lot of fun. We had blueberry Cougar Tails.
It might have been the best atmosphere of the season
Our
tonight.
Bellies are full with sugar from Cougar Tails. But
our tongues are bright blue.
It was a great season, Matt. You do an outstanding job. I think
Same
you
with
and I
Mitch.
do great work covering BYU. We love doing this, and I hope all of Cougar Nation realizes the passion we have for BYU sports and BYU basketball, and we love to do this every single time we can, talking BYU hoops. So we'll talk to you next time here on the Cougar Sports Saturday podcast feed, Cougar Tracks, and wherever you get your KSL Sports podcast.